this is the mechanical control panel. But first of all, I'll take you through the alarms, the things that we pick up. We've got fire alarm system operated. It's an obvious one. If the fire alarm goes off, we get a red light there, and we shut down all of the plant. We've got the gas valve closed, which operates if there's two thermal links above the boilers. If either of them are obviously burnt, or if someone presses that knock-off button, automatically closes the gas valve. We've got the pressurisation unit fault. The pressurisation unit is that black unit there. If that goes into fault, then what happens is it stops the pumps from running, because obviously it could be an indication of a leak somewhere on the system if it loses the pressure. So that's what that's for. We also pick up a fault off this booster set here as well. Well, first of all, we've got the heating pumps and the boilers. Now they're controlled to a set point within the building, which is going to be, I'll show you when we get to this stage. Obviously we'll only run them as and when required to keep the building up to 21 degrees. The HWS, which is all of these here, basically it's run via there's a high limit stat in the cylinder, which I think is what we just run through. When the high limit stat makes, it turns off the pump and the return pump until it drops below its 55 degrees again, at which time that goes off, the pumps start running again, and it tops it up to 60, and it holds that cylinder at 60 degrees. We've got the immersion heater as a backup. Again, it's in auto. That will only come on when the temperature's too low for too long, and it just acts as a backup. Kitchen, which is these lamps here. Now they're on a time zone, so we'll give power out to the kitchen fans on a time zone which we're about to select on here. Just because them run lights are on, it doesn't mean that the kitchen fans are running. As Graham said, there's two controllers that are in the kitchen office. Now, someone obviously needs to turn both of them fans on, at which point we get airflow across the supply and the extract, and then that opens the gas valve. The gas valve will stay closed until both of them controllers are turned on. And then we've got 4 heat recovery units, which are, well, as you can see, the references are all above the labels. They've all got preset kind of settings. They've got controllers that they'll have locally up above the ceiling. There's not anything we need to do with them. The only thing is we'll run them on a time zone as well, so on predetermined times. And then we've got a convector heater, which again is in the kitchen. We've got a stat in the convector heater, which just means that whenever the temperature in there drops below, I think it's 21 degrees, we'll just turn on the convector heater to then give it some heat. Just blast some heat to the kitchen until the return air stat is at 21 again, at which time we'll just turn it off. So it's just run like that. So yeah, I mean, is there any questions on anything that's on there, or?
No, it's all quite straightforward.
No, I mean, as long as the key thing is with everything, just to leave it in auto.
Yeah.
Because obviously the system will run itself. If you have any problems, you can always put things into hand on any switch. But as I say, no, it's more a case of leaving it all in auto and letting it do its thing. So, I mean, you might find at times these are off or these are off, but it's only going to be, even if it is a bit cold outside, it might be because we're up to temperature in the building, so we've backed the boiler and the pump off. It doesn't necessarily need to run all the time. All of the settings are obviously, they're on this touchpad here. This is the touchscreen for the BMS control panel. Okay, this is the touchscreen for the BMS control panel. This is the first screen you see when you touch the touchscreen. What you've got at the bottom is a little, it's minimised, but it's a little keyboard. Now the username is user, and the password is 4321. And if you enter and minimise the keyboard, then that brings up the overview for the whole job on the control panel. On the top left hand corner, what we've got is the outside air temperature. It tells you what the outside air temperature is and the economy set point, which holds off the heating above that set point. To change any set point on the system, it's a case of clicking on set next to the value, bringing up the keyboard and typing in whatever the required set point may be. In this case it's 18. If you then click OK, that automatically saves it. So if we minimise the keyboard again, the second subheading under overview is for the heating. What it's got on the heating is a ground floor space temperature, which is an indication of the temperature sensor that we've got on the ground floor. There's the same on the first floor. We've also got a space temperature set point, which at this point in time is 21 degrees. Again, to change that, you just click on set, bring up the keyboard and set it to whatever you want to set it to. We've also got in the heating sub-menu, we've got an indication of what the pumps are doing, which pumps are running and which pumps have tripped. If they do trip, there'll also be an indication with a red light on the front of the control panel. The third subheading we've got is HWS. Now, under HWS, it again tells you if it's enabled, what the cylinder temperature is at this point in time, which is 55 degrees, whether it's in high limit, and whether the two pumps, the primary and return pump, are running, or whether they're both in fault. Now on the top, back up to the top in the middle of the screen, the next sub menu is boilers. Now under boilers we've got the flow temperature and return temperature, the boiler flow set point, and indications of what the boiler is doing at the moment, whether it's in fault or whether it's enabled, and the amount of hours that it's been running. You've got that for boiler 1 and for boiler 2. The next sub menu is the kitchen AHU. Again, indications for enable, the current supply air temperature, whether the supply and extract fan are on, the percentage of the heating valve, and then again indications of whether they're in alarm or whether they're in normal operation, and whether the switch is enabled or off. We've also got a set point for the supply air, which at this point in time is 21 degrees. That again can be changed upwards or downwards depending on whether it's too warm or too cold in the kitchen. Now on the far right hand side of the overview screen, we've got the rest of the plant indications. So we've got CWS booster, that will flag up red if it's in alarm. PV system is in normal. Heat recovery unit enables, and whether they're in fault. Main gas valve status and fire alarm status. If any of them are in alarm, they'll flash up red. At the bottom, we've then got the convector heater, whether that's in auto or off, and then all the stuff to do with the kitchen, so the supply fan, extract fan, thermostat, and the indications of whether they're in alarm or in normal operation. What we've also got in this third column is we've got the times. So the times can be adjusted for heating, HWS, kitchen ventilation or convector. To change the times, it will be a case of just clicking on heating times. That then brings up a pop-up screen. If you then click on the selected day, so Monday to Friday, click on Monday. If we wanted to change that day, we would then click on the tiny little arrows. There's an event start time and an event finish time. you would then click on the arrows upwards or downwards to change the times that it started or that it finished. So that's the overview page. Now what we've also got across the top of the screen is different pages, which basically represents the sub-menus but as a page. So we've got the boilers page. On the boilers page it shows the pipe work, the temperatures, whether they're in fault. On the heating page it shows which pump is running, indicated by the red cylinder. We've also got the settings, which again can be changed in the overview menu or in this menu here. It just shows again the space temperatures, the space temperature set points and what the pumps are actually doing. The next menu is HWS. Under HWS we've got a graphical display of the cylinder, what the primary and return pumps are doing, and the temperature of the cylinder. We've also got indications of which pumps are running or if the pumps are in alarm. We've also got on the top left hand corner whether it's in high limit and what the cylinder temp actually is. There's also an option to change the time zone for the HWS, which again can be changed in the overview page. The next page along is for the kitchen AHU. Again, this just shows pretty much everything that was in the overview page. The enable, the supply air temperature, what the heating valve is doing, the status of the supply and extract fan along with the enable switch, and it also flags up any alarms that may be on the kitchen AHU. The next page along is the override page. Now there is the facility to override plant on the front of the control panel via the switches. They can also be overridden in the software here by clicking on pump overrides. Any of the pumps can be override by clicking on the set button and then changing it to pump 1 on or pump 2 on, or even override them off. At the moment obviously they're supposed to be left in auto. If we go back and then click on valve overrides, the kitchen AHU heating valve can be overridden to whatever percentage that may be required if it is too cold in the area. And we've also got plant overrides, which means we can override any of the heat recovery units, the kitchen AHU, the HWS or the boilers by clicking on the set button and selecting on. The next page along is the meters. This page displays all of the total meter readings for the gas meters. There's a main gas meter and a kitchen gas meter. There's also the main electric meter, as well as all the sub boards or the distribution boards that are on the job. And this page displays the total readings for the lighting and power on each of them boards. The next page along and the last one is alarms. Basically any alarms that are on the system will come through to this page, so it may be worth checking this page once a week or once every couple of weeks just to see what alarms have come through or if any of the modules are in alarm. A red alarm or a red bell indicates an active alarm, a green indicates an alarm that's occurred and been cleared.